Hey everybody, welcome to Joe's Minibike Reunion. It's Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast number 11. That's right, 11, 1-1. We're here with the guys who are part of probably the hippest, most, I guess trendy is not a right word, but definitely the most focused group within our minibike world. It's the modern version of the minibikes. It's the Honda Groms, it's the Ruckuses, it's the new Kawasaki offerings, it's the Metros, it's the guys that are street legal. We're here with Kevin Dunn and Big Ray T, also joining us from Steady Garage. Guys, thanks for rolling over.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Yep.
man. I know you were off to Japan.
Yeah, we're going to Japan on September 24th all the way to October 15th. So it's a long trip.
Yeah, I when I spoke to you, Kev, I was hopeful to get you on prior to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Joe's Minibike Reunion. Insert shameless plug here. October 1st, CV Park, sponsored in part by Steady Garage. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wanted to have you on the show because, Ray, I even mentioned this to you earlier. We, for the most part, these podcasts for the first 10 episodes have been largely on the rigid frame standard tacos, bonanzas, and those are the ones that old guys like us, those are the ones that we grew up with. And I'm not sure how old you are, Ray.
A little older.
Okay, so you're probably, you're coming from where I did.
Probably transitioning to.
Yeah, without a doubt, especially in considering what you're up to now.
Yeah.
But these bikes, I think what I love about them the most is the fact that you can not only enjoy them as a group and work on them at the garage and at the shop, but then you literally just to go ride those things.
Correct.
And that's where our guys got to sit on the friggin' curb mostly while you guys get to enjoy that. So that's what I want to get going across tonight is those folks that are already in it, and those are all the guys that are already fans of Steady Garage and that whole urban scene. But I also want to maybe convert some of our rigid frame guys to maybe get to that dealership or maybe check out Steady Garage and see why the street legal scooters, and I'll stop there. What are they called? I want to call them a scooter. I refer to them as Groms, like people know by name. But what is this segment rightfully noted as?
Well,
are they scooters?
They are scooters, and a lot of guys also refer to them as minimoto. So it doesn't have that scooter word in there because people think that scooters are for preppy people and all that.
Kind of like Vespa-like.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we don't want to. And although
Plastic.
Yeah, but let's talk about the bikes that make up this mini moto segment because I do like that. The scooter maintains something that it's a name that everybody can be familiar with, but the connotation is that it's some chick with a basket and a fucking poodle in the back, right?
Correct.
So we're really not that, especially when we do a walk around. Those of you who are watching the podcast tonight. We're going to vary a little bit from what we typically do because we're going to, before it gets too dark, it's still light out here in California, huh? That's pretty cool, right?
It's nice.
So all you guys on the East Coast, all you East Side mini bike guys and all of our guys in Detroit, where it's dark, we got a little light out here, and we're going to make that an advantage for you because we're going to step out of the seats, and we're going to do a little walk around. But before we walk around these two particular models, the bikes that we're talking about within this mini moto world, well, the Ruckus is the one that comes to my attention the most because that's the one that got me into it, right?
Yep.
Correct.
And that may be where I met you.
Yeah, exactly.
That was Bowles, L.A. That was Brian?
Ryan. Our friends Ryan's and Brandon.
Ryan.
Yeah.
And Brandon.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're brothers. Yeah.
And I purchased one of the very first Honda Ruckus. I bought it at Burt's.
Yeah.
Before he started to tap on $500 to him, right? So, yeah, well, $500, right? That'd be a nice to him. I got to buy another bike there, right? So, but now I go to Honda Glendale for some of my stuff, and they treat me well. But anyways, I got my Grom, and I didn't have that bike for a day. Somehow, I don't know if it was Howard Lim from Super Street at the time who knew some of the guys there. All right, Brandon, right? All of a sudden, it's like I made the mistake of coming in the office and I bought one of these things. And I bought it with my buddy Brian Pake. Him and I were working with Motor Media. We were down the street in our office, and each day we try to have some fun. This day meant buying a Grom. Or excuse me, a Ruckus. So we got the bike, and I mentioned it to Howard. Next thing I know, someone from Bowles came to the office, picked up the bike. 12 miles it had on it. 8 of them had just riding around the parking lot when I bought it, right?
Yeah.
And they took it, and I don't know if you remember that bike, that white.
Yeah.
It was a SEMA build.
Yeah.
It was I don't know if it 2008,
2000,
yeah.
I think it
Yeah.
was eight or
Big
9.
the Batman bike, I remember that big old fat tire.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like 8-inch wide, you know, rocking that golf cart wheel in
Yeah,
Nova.
and who was the builder? There was a real famous builder that came to Las Vegas to do that conversion because we did it at the SEMA show.
Sekizawa.
Talk a little bit about that guy. Do you remember? What do you remember about that bike?
I remember it had a lot of original parts that were.
RZ, right?
Yeah, it was. He was so Sekizawa was the first guy that actually started, you know, the big old scene in Japan. His shop was called Tokyo Parts. So he's like the grandfather of everything.
For the Ruckus.
Yeah, so it was nice that he actually came here. I think the first time was for that build, to put it all together and put some of his special parts on there. During that time, not a lot of parts were available, not at all.
Nope.
And for you to have that bike was crazy. And you know, that's where a lot of people wanted to steer again, you know, towards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that build, and thank you for signing the SEMA Garage board, both of you. SEMA's been a big part of what I do, as you may know, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
And they provided me with, and a big thank you to everyone there at SEMA for allowing us to have that area for
the Ruckus Corral.
the Ruckus Corral.
Yeah, that's right.
And you know, that wasn't just like a compliment, a SEMA member. They were working to mine that power sports segment because there's such an immediate extension to the hot rodders with whether they're the Bonanzas or whether they're the Groms. Hot rod guys are like, we love all this shit, right?
Yeah.
Anything with a motor.
Yeah. So and I don't want to get off track too much because that Ruckus, although that platform seemed to be what really launched what it is that we do now, there's a larger contingent of bikes and models that come into our world now. And outside of the Ruckus that we talked about, obviously it's the Grom, and obviously it's the new Kawasaki, the Z125, right? Or excuse me, yeah. But there's the Metro and the Zuma that have also crept up into the shows, and those look great, and they're extended frames, just like we're doing with the Groms. What other bikes fall into our world outside of those bikes that I just mentioned? Are there other bikes that kind of fall into it?
There's
The Vino wouldn't be one that would like pop in, right? So
that one's kind of more.
yeah. So what did I cover most of the bikes that
We've
are?
covered a lot.
Yeah.
Most of it.
And out of that scene-
there's another one that's really popular and really common now, because it was start out from one guy. What he did was he cut the Metro in half and put the Ruckus back towards and complemented with the Metro front.
So that's
It's called a Metro.
Yeah, so Efizi, that he was the originator in San Jose. What's it called? Rucktro. They call it the Rucktro. So
I love that
Metropolitan in the front,
Yep.
Ruckus in the back. You know.
And now everybody, it's pretty big, and there's a lot of those around now.
So Rucktro,
Yeah.
that's the bike
Or
now.
Metruck.
Or Met
Or
Ruck,
Met
yeah,
Ruck,
the
yeah,
newer
because-
term. Back then it was the, you know.
You know, it's funny you say
Rucktro.
that because we've cobbled together a bike that you guys saw when you walked in, Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Like, cobbled up different parts and pieces. That's the cool part of that's like the custom part of it, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Pretty much.
So what is it though? Just I know, obviously there's got to be some advantages for having that specific Ruckus rear or front with the Metro rear or front. They're using the better of the two.
Yeah, because with the Ruckus rear half, you can put a bigger tire rim
Got it.
combination. There's no fairings to bother
worry about
your
tucking in.
movement. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you can put a 12x8, 13x8 in the back,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and still have a little 10-inch, 12-inch, regular skinny tire in the front.
Yeah, again, very similar to what we did with Frankenstein, right? The big old fat ATV tire and a bicycle tire in the front.
Yeah.
Hey, look, there's a lot to get into, and I'm glad that I hear GY6 a lot too, and we clarify that for those folks that hear that expression, the Gen 1, is that similar to like Generation X? What is it when it's a GY6, for example? Talk to those folks about that a little bit.
You wanna go? All right. So the GY6 is a alternative power source for, because the Ruckus is a 50cc. You could only do so much to
Anemic.
it. Yeah.
Anemic.
Yeah. And guys want to go faster. So being in SoCal, some of the guys that want more speed, like Dr. Charles, who was really big into Honda, decided to swap a GY6 engine onto the Ruckus, and he was blowing by everybody, and that pretty much blew it up from there on.
So what is that GY6 in terms of horsepower displacement? What size?
GY6 is basically the most common scooter engine out there. And it's a 150cc.
Oh, it's a 150.
It's air-cooled.
Perfect.
It's air-cooled. It's carbureted, so there's not much electronics to it, and it's everywhere.
Everywhere. Like all of the Chinese scooters has it, and
just like that Grom outside of the U.S. a few years ago, the Grom was internationally used and well known. It was very basic transportation. What do they call it? The MSX 125. We get it a couple years ago, like it's the newest thing in the world, but it's been littered throughout the world, right? Yeah. Similar to this engine, then this GY6.
It's been around probably 20 years.
Yeah. So then why wasn't the immediate thing to do, like when that Ruckus came out? Why wasn't it just an immediate swap with one of those motors inside a Ruckus? Was it just it was too much?
It just took people to come up with ideas, ingenuity, and to actually how to fit it in and look decent. So there were not too many people playing, fabricators. So you only had what you had was whatever you had to buy was available, and there was really not much available. So people like Dr. Charles, he well known, he just basically, he has access to a fab shop. He just built his own, and that's pretty much started the whole swap deal.
Yeah. What was Dr. Charles? Did he have a shop name?
No.
Yeah, well, he was associated with Kill the Scooter, and him and Steven pretty much started up Kill the Scooter during the time, and and they're known for the Super Sunday event, which is probably the largest scooter ruckus rally in SoCal.
How many bikes does that attract?
Like 300 people or 350. It's still growing.
And where do they ride? How does that work? Would they check in? They used to check in like places like a Steady Garage. They would check in, right, and then roll out. How does that work?
No,
you need a secret spot.
Check-in.
Yeah, there's just a spot where he'll announce. Usually, it was at the Hat on Rosemead. And Broadway.
I thought I remember a couple meetups.
City.
Yeah, in Temple City. Yeah.
And what are you suggesting that there weren't? I know it's not that formal, but weren't there a couple meetups where everybody would?
There in the initial beginning stages, it was just a meetup on one of the local board. One of the most popular board out there was Total Ruckus. It was.
I'm on that.
It was still on that. It was mentioned on that. So then, the scene was really popular in SoCal, especially in the San Gabriel area, and it just in that one year in 2008 to 2009, when the gas prices were like $5 a gallon, you couldn't get one. You couldn't get any scooters.
Yeah.
Period.
I remember
let
that.
alone even get a Ruckus.
You bring up a good point there. When I bought that Ruckus, I did not buy it mindful of the gas situation because I was not planning on using it for much transportation. I wanted to just stick around with it like I did. But yeah, when I bought it, not only were people very interested in it, because the Ruckus to me wasn't really the most attractive looking thing, right?
Yeah.
It was underpowered.
Yeah.
It looked like it was kind of like a utilitarian kind of a thing, like some guy checking the meter would pull up in it, right? And then when I saw that bike customized, and when I watched it explode, because they took this thing completely apart the first day. I almost cried a little bit the first day. That thing was like literally, I got photos of it. And hopefully we'll show that in the podcast. When you watch the actual audio version of it, the video version of it, I can go back and dig up some of those photos. But I remember walking there the first night at SEMA, the second day actually, and it was just littered. The bike was just totally torn apart. Everything.
Yeah.
And to watch what they did in those few days it was amazing to me, because it took that pretty basic, boring bike and it turned it into the fucking Batmobile in like 3 days of that SEMA show. And that was the beginning of how I knew how cool that, like, again, I'm a vintage hardtail rigid frame guy, but I knew how cool that scene was. And that's where I met guys like you. And let's take advantage of that sunlight like we talked about. We're going to take a quick little time out. When we come back, we're going to be outside of the garage, and we're going to actually be looking at the coolest Honda Grom you probably have seen. Now, if you're in SoCal, you've probably been exposed to a few cool Groms. You may have seen some ones that are as nice. But if you haven't, you're definitely going to love this Grom. And we also have the new Kawasaki model. So thanks for joining in. It's Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast number 11. We're here with the guys from Steady Garage, Big Ray and Kevin. And thanks for watching. Tell a friend. We'll be right back.
Joe's Minibike Show.
Hey everybody, it's Joe from Joe's Minibike Reunion, trying to take off these old school glasses before you see me, but it didn't quite work out. I'm here with Kevin and Ray from Steady Garage, and these are smart guys. I say, look, bring some things. If you want, like, bring some parts, bring some stickers, bring some T-shirts, bring some license plate frames. Shit, bring some bikes. Guess what? They did it all. Thank you. So, what'd you think about the first part of the podcast?
Oh, it was awesome.
Kind of easy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. And I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I can see how much work goes into it. So, thank you guys for having us.
Emmanuel does a good job.
Yeah, he does a really good job.
So, Ray, thanks for joining us as well. When you guys were first coming down, you came down the driveway, then you took off again. It's like, well, shit, did I piss him off? What happened? I didn't even have a chance to say hello, but you were getting a couple of the bikes. What do we have in front of us here with this new Honda Grom? Can you do a little walk around for us?
Sure. This is the Steady Garage Honda Grom. Basically, this one's the race Grom that we've entered into the UMRA 24-hour race. This coming September 10th, out in Grange. Grange is out in Apple Valley.
Okay, great. So this is a race bike setup?
This is a fully race bike setup.
What year is it?
This is a 2015.
So what did we do to it? Let's talk about, I would imagine suspension-wise, I could see we've got is that an Olin front end?
No, it's actually Racing Bros front end and rear shock. So the suspension is full Racing Bros. There's actually not much to it because the class actually sanctioned a lot of it down to 125cc displacement, the stock front end, similar to Wera race specs and rules.
Got it. So you can modify it a little bit. Like I see you have a different swing arm in the back. I see you have a custom pipe. I see that we've got obviously a new rear shock. We've got some custom exhaust. Is that a stock brake system in the back there, or does that change when you change the swing arm?
That's a stock caliper with Galfer rotors, and yeah, the swing arm is from Over Racing. Actually, the wheels are carbon fiber from BST, and Scott and Gary, who pretty much owns the bike, they wanted to paint it, So who paints carbon fiber wheels, So, but they decided that they wanted to do it, and it was a good move because it looks really good.
I didn't get to the wheels. Just like so many people, they want to get to the engine, they want to get to the exhaust, the carb, the shocks. That tire and wheel combo, especially in racing these style bikes, these small bikes, it's everything.
Yeah, it is everything, and it's a world of difference, especially the Midas. They're like 2 pounds lighter than the Dunlop, so it's a great advantage.
So what type of racing will this perform? Does it go on oval? Is it a road course? What is it, the competition that it's going to be participating in?
It's a road course. It's a 1.3 miles go-kart track.
Okay.
So there's going to be probably like 25 teams on there for the endurance race. So you can imagine all these little bikes going everywhere.
So this bike is part of an endurance team?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And does it have any history in the past? This is the first time out?
Actually, it won first place in 2014 with the M1 GP, the 125cc class, and in 2015, UMRA, the endurance race again, it won first in class and second overall. So it was
congratulations there, yeah. And who are the partners with you guys on this bike? Who are some of the other folks that obviously are a part of it?
OTB, UMRA, Racing Bros, Galfer, Richardson Brothers Racing, and Steady Garage. Yeah.
Steady Garage. You brought that name up a time. It wouldn't be happening without Steady Garage. Ray, this is the bike everybody's been talking about. Again, I asked you the correct way to pronounce this new Kawasaki. What is it?
It's the Kawasaki Z125 Pro.
And we talked about the automatic model, which is called?
It doesn't have the Pro. It's Z125.
Got it. So when you mentioned the Z125, that's the automatic version. The Pro is the actual 4-speed model, right? Great. Let's take a look at this. When it first rolled over, Ray, I thought it looked like it had been like lowered. And is this bike customized?
This bike is customized, yes. It's lowered in the front, lowered in the back. The swing arm has been extended. We put our intake on it, the Chimera intake. We also have the Pro. We've also made a Z Pro header, Z125 Pro header that will be. It's already out and available. And
the muffler looks like it came off a Ducati.
Ducati inspired muffler.
Yeah, nice. I love the color. Is that a stock color that's offered through Kawasaki, or is that custom?
That color is only offered in Thailand or overseas. It's not offered here in the States.
So the thing that most folks would recognize is obviously the extended rear. It looks as it has a body kit on it as well. That lower, is that an air fairing down there, or is it just protective?
That's an undercowl, and it's factory.
Well, I have a Grom, and I'm used to that. In fact, that's my red Grom, and it's pretty basic in terms of what I got it when I bought it at Honda of Glendale. It's got a Corbin seat, it's got a Yoshimura pipe, it's got some different different mirrors on it, and I think that's about it. I don't have many miles on that bike, but you also notice the Ducati here, which I love, but that bike, just like these two, it's a whole different ride. As much fun as I've had with that one, these bikes, what is it about these bikes, Ray, that gets us charged up?
It's because it's so small and nimble, and pretty much you can go anywhere you want, and everybody thinks that it's not street legal, which they're false. It's not true. Everything is street legal of all the bikes that we deal with. So everything you see in our shop is 100% street legal.
Kevin, one of the things that I talked about when we were sitting down is that you get to now go ride these things because they are street legal. So you and 50 of your buddies can meet up somewhere, and we could start at, I don't know, the Hat in Pasadena and end up in Santa Monica on the ocean. The actual riding of it is pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really cool. And it gets a lot of attention because everyone's always asking questions, rolling down their windows. Like, hey, what are those things? Are those legal? They're tripping out because they think it's a real, full-size 250, but they're actually smaller than that.
And you're riding and you're on the road and it's got a license plate. Well, yeah, it's street legal, right? But it is surprising how many people still don't realize that these bikes are available and you can go buy one. Well, not like that, but you can buy one like that, right?
Yeah. Yep. You can buy that. And then another thing that makes it attractive and appealing is all the customization that you can do to it. And no two look alike, So
well, just look at these three. I mean, you go from hardcore race bike to full custom to somewhat, slightly modified.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's great.
Hundreds and hundreds of parts for it. There's mufflers galore, there's wheels galore. It's just no two will look alike.
So with all that said, let's face it, they're easy to get into. A few $1,000s. Just for the hell of it, I financed a little bit of mine. My payment was like $75, right? So you get into that, you can pay it off anytime, right? You win one Laker game, you fucking pay off the bike, right, Kev? And I was able to just do a handful of customizing enhancements to my bike, but at Steady Garage you can do everything from
mild to wild. If you can think of it, we could probably make it come true.
So check it out. I buy my Grom. I knew immediately I wanted to replace my seat. I wanted more exhaust because the one thing about them is that they were it was very easy to not be seen or heard. They're small and they're not loud. So I put the pipe on. The mirrors I didn't want those stupid lollipop mirrors, right? Like these, I got to break these off. What is a typical newbie who just got his Grom from Honda of Glendale and he rolls up to Steady Garage? What's like a tier, or not a tier one, but what would be a phase or stage one enhancement that you would suggest to a guy? What would you tell him he needs to do immediately with that stock bike, whether it's the Grom or whether it's the new Kawasaki?
Well, the first thing that everybody does on any of these bikes is get rid of the rear taillight. So the first mod would be the rear integrated the integrated taillight where
I missed the first thing, Ray.
You get rid of the taillight, the blinkers, and then it's integrated signals into the OEM style taillight.
Okay, so you got to bring up the rear.
Correct.
I thought it would be the Piper of the seat because that seat is a ball breaker.
That fender is hideous.
All right. So I got. Well, thanks for that. But that was a wrong fucking question to start with. All right, so we got to get rid of that stock rear disco-looking thing. My God, man, he really blew me up on that one. All right, and then what?
And then you can go, and next step would be the muffler, of course.
Right.
Everybody, you get a muffler of your choice. Usually.
What's the muffler everybody wants to put on the bikes? What's the bike? I know you've got a custom header and you've got a muffler on that, but on the Grom you must have sold enough of them. Is Yashimura the muffler of choice?
Yes, Yoshimura is the only choice usually.
Okay.
For most people.
Got it.
Because their name is and their rep is really high. And
well, but the TYG line, I see, when I went online, I didn't know any better. I go online looking for exhaust for Grom, and all you see is like TYG. So there is some confusion out there. I just want to make everybody clear on, I loved my Yashimura, and I didn't even get the complete system. You know. Okay, so then you go to exhaust. Then what, Ray?
Then you get the intake, of course, the cold air intake, which also, if with the cold air intake and the muffler from the Yoshimura, we've dynoed it and we've actually gained almost close to 2 horsepower on the.
So a stock Grom horsepower.
It's about 8.
Okay, so can you get us to 15? Can you get us easy to 12 with just the exhaust, right, and the air filters and stuff?
You get about 10.5 to 11 with the exhaust and the Chimera intake.
On that bike stock with just the pipe, tucked downhill, I'm like 170. It's maybe like high 50s. I think I saw 57 or 58. What's a legitimate top speed? Now, these race bikes, how fast do these things go top speed? Just as an example.
They go above 60.
Okay. What about what you've done with this Collie?
This one can almost reach 70 because this one actually we put a big bore.
Got it. That big bore kit? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I want to talk about that big bore kit in the second part of the show. I've had both pros and cons about putting a big bore kit in these small engines. For those of us who'd like to just start it all the time and may not have the aptitude that some of the tuners do, dependability is everything. I often wonder whether you think that big bore kit is a good short-term addition to your bike or long-term. Okay, cool. So they then go with, they do the exhaust. You're not going to get to that seat? You're not going to get to those mirrors?
Yeah, of course. Mirrors go.
Mirrors are everything, aren't they?
Not too many people have mirrors these days, but the reason why we have mirrors is due to street legal.
Yeah. Not even the ones at the end of the handlebar? Like, obviously, this is a race bike, so...
The handlebar ones are good, but the problem with those is when we're lane splitting, they kind of get in the way.
Yeah, I've had that happen. Now, what style mirrors did you use on the new Kawasaki?
Those were just regular Koso mirrors.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, mirrors seem to be another one of those things. I ended up stepping up and buying... I almost paid more for my mirrors. I swear, by the time I bought the mirrors, then the seat, you can make some mistakes early on. You don't need to spend a lot of money on mirrors, do you?
No, but it looks like, what are those, Rizomas? Yeah. Oh yeah, those are up there. But yeah, CRG makes really good alternative mirror. BSC,
the
OTBs, and yeah, they're the OTBs are like $300, but it has a turn signal like integrated in there, which is really cool, increased visibility and all that. But yeah, like you said, you don't really need to spend that much money. I say take it easy, go slow, do some research, look around, see what other people have.
My idea, Kevin, was I wanted to sound better because of the coolness and the safety end of it. I definitely had to have some comfort. Yeah. So the seat was easy for me, and yeah, just some of the aesthetic things. I want to hold on to my Grom. As tempting as it is to like sell it and get the new one, or to sell and get this, I think having that first run of Groms is one of those bikes you keep, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yours was what, the first maybe 100 or so in the U.S.?
I think I was like the first 20 or 30 they sold at Honda Glendale. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lot of people actually like the older body style instead of the new panels and the SF version they call it.
Yeah, with that dual headlight particularly, and a little bit of a different body kit. Yeah. What's different about the body kit from what you know?
It has a lot more blocky angles, I guess. Yeah, it looks pointier, yeah, and like
Transformer-ish.
Yeah. So here's the thing, Honda, right? In fact, you mentioned this. They're smart. Yeah. They come out, they bring it out, and they run their year or two. Everybody starts to get the fever. There's a time you couldn't buy one. They're available now, and then Kawasaki jumps in, and they're going to get that spotlight just for a second because, boom, out of the box, now here they come.
It's like a low blow to Kawasaki. It's like, oh, you want to release your Z125? Well, here's a new one, And yeah, they're really smart about it. Similar to like Apple, like the iPhone 6S, the 6. Yeah. I got
something for you, Samsung. Yep.
Battling it out.
But the Honda Grom, the Kawasaki, those are great companies. When you go in there, and it's only a few grand. It's at $3,500 or whatever they're going for. That's pretty cool because when you wanted to, if you go buy a Honda Trail 70 now used, they want that for a freaking Honda Trail 70 used. You can go buy a fuel injected, brand new, street legal.
Yep.
Well, thanks for doing a little walk around here. We're here at Joe's Minibike Reunion. We're kind of like, we're live, so to speak, out here in the driveway, just doing some walk around of these cool new bikes. Again, I know that most of you guys who are watching are into hard, old school tacos and bonanzas and everything else, but you got to check these bikes out. This new Kawasaki is bitchin'. I love my Grom. to be able to ride this race bike, man, oh man. This is really a motorcycle in my view. But the mini moto market, that's what they're all about. Steady Garage. We'll be right back. Thanks for watching.
Joe's Minibike Show.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Joe's Minibike Reunion, podcast number 11. We're here with the guys from Steady Garage, Kevin and Ray. And what's that behind your back there? I noticed that thing it wants to find. It's got a mind of its own. Is that something you wear in the shop?
Yeah,
check it out.
It's
Let's
our
see it.
apron.
Because I got mine there. See my mechanics wear hiding underneath there? Those are pretty cool.
This is from Ernest.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're out in, I think, Australia. And Scott pretty much grabbed everyone in the shop one. So thanks to him. Fireproof, actually. So we can grind on things and weld on it. It's
Can
not gonna
folks buy
burn
those?
us. Yeah. Well, we're thinking about having it made and having it available. So I think within a couple of months they'll be available.
It's got pockets on the top there. It's
Yeah,
For your cell phone.
pockets, cell phone,
Yeah, cell phone,
pocket. It's
yeah.
all padded right here. Little zippers. You know.
Isn't it
Stuff-
funny, Ray? Because we're old. How they had to change shit to adapt to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like when we got one,
It was only for the pocket protector.
hey, you got one that held fucking nails.
Yep.
Now you get them. It's a cell phone, your baby's mama. You know, every other little thing you need to get through life now. There's a little compartment for it. So, well, cool stuff. And that's just a part of the cool stuff that you guys have over at Steady Garage. I mentioned earlier on. It's like, hey, Kevin, bring whatever you want, including Ray, because I went to your website. I love it. Very easy to navigate your way through.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the love in your blog.
Oh.
You guys have been big supporters. In fact, thanks for continuing to represent. I don't know if that was the year, but the following year we started to drop down the Steady logo.
Actually,
You're old school. Oh, that was the first year. There you go.
We're climbing up.
Thank you.
We got on the shirt. Now we're just trying to get up.
I was sponsored one time. I was on the nuts, so I had to really move my way up. Yeah, on that deal, thank you, because that exposure, just a little love, a little knock. I even mentioned that you were thinking about coming, let alone that first year when you guys came. I got to tell you, it was my first event.
It was.
yeah.
When I was at that lot, and we jokingly refer to this, I had more stand-up signs than I did mini bikes. You see all these signs
They
everywhere?
were nice
Yeah.
signs, though.
They were nice signs.
Very
I still
nice.
have them.
Really nice,
I
yeah.
amortized those for those of you who want to be in business. I have, over the years, those things have paid off. First year is tough. But when I was there, it was me and mostly my bikes. I had about 15, 20 of them. A handful of guys that really were there when I needed them. And it didn't look too exciting. About an hour and a half, I heard like a swarm of bikes. And they weren't bikes that I was used to hearing. They were all you guys rolling up. And it was a spectacle on its own. I think you guys parked on the street at first because you didn't know what the hell you were getting into the first year,
We
right?
didn't know where we're going.
Right, let alone,
Yeah.
and I would say, hey, come on out. People say, where's Locker Center? Where's Locker Center? It's like, oh, you're in trouble when they ask where it is. So I say, it's right near Glendale, and I don't even know if that was a compliment or the right thing to say, right? So at some point, I got to, right next to the Rose Bowl is what worked for me, right? That helped me. Well, you guys showed up, and that is one of the times that I knew that this had some merit, this event, that this whole effort, which was a financial investment and really more of a pursuit of just fun. When you guys showed up, it was big for me, and I want to personally thank you for that. Not to mention how we've grown working together over the years, because you've always been a sponsor and you've always showed up at the events. And you guys, when you brought those twin turbo stretched, Ruckuses, I mean, people were like flipping out. Thank you. Thank you so much, man.
No, thank you for all your hard work and everything that you put into it. Like you said, it takes a lot to run an event, and we'll try to support as much as we can. Thank you for during a great show like Joe's Minibike Reunion to bring in the mini bike community again, to remind the older, the generation before us how fun it was, and to show the younger generation,
How fun it
it can be. Yeah.
Ray, when we did the show, you asked, hey, where's the guy? Is the other guy going to be here? Well, Evil Ed, right? Well, Evil Ed couldn't join us tonight because he, he's a little older than me. So even things like smogging your truck, he hates. So he had to go deal with it.
He's not the only one.
Yeah, right? But basic shit that we got to get done, he doesn't have much tolerance for. He has very minimal tolerance. And today was the day to get his truck smogged. And for those of you who may have seen Evil Ed's truck, it wasn't a slam dunk. And as it had occurred, it took him some time. So he got delayed. He's probably not going to make it, is the message that we got. And if he does join us, obviously we'll be anxious to see him. But Evil Ed was one of those guys that was really the core of, in my mind, the guy that would come to the show. So like when guys like Evil Ed saw you guys show up, and I always tried to be somewhat predictable on how I would lay that out. So I kind of had an area for old vintage, and I kind of had an area. Remember the signs?
Yeah.
Again, more signs than bikes.
Yep.
I had the CT70, and I think I did like maybe a Ruckus Corral. I don't know if I even did the first year. I was trying to like have a home for everybody, and really what ended up happening is that as I go into my 5th year, there's still like areas where people hang out, but it's a mixture because even the Evil Eds, when they saw the bikes that you guys rolled out, they were like, dude, have you seen that? What is that? Gram?
Yep.
It's like, no, it's not a Gram. That's something else. It's like, it's a Grom. It's like, wow, those things are cool. Do you see that one? Like I mentioned, the twin turboed one. It's like, look at that stretched frame. And so you guys stirred up those hardcore mini bikers, those rigid frame guys. They were charged up by what you brought as well. Yeah.
It's one of the only one of the major shows that we always look forward to in actually participating, because it's really fun, and it brings out all the enthusiasts out there, no matter what age,
And you have a dyno out there, right?
Yeah. And part of that is due to you. I didn't know. That park, you guys have been there. There's people that live like adjacent.
Yeah. Across the street, you mean?
Well, not only across the street. Those guys, I tend to, and I don't mean to minimize it, but I don't worry too much about them because they've got like 2 lanes of traffic in between us. It's those who live up in the homes in the hills above.
Oh yes.
The rich bastards, right? You know those ones? Those are the ones that call the fucking cops. Those are the ones that bitch to the park. Like, they got the direct hotline to the CV Park Administrative Office, Extension 14. They know who to call, right?
On a Saturday.
Yeah, and Saturday morning, they're out there. You know the deal. They got the crumpets and the tea and the fucking binoculars. They see the shit. They see you show. They see you show. They see us rolling out these mini bikes.
Mini gangs.
It's like, Margaret, get the phone, put that antenna up, we're calling. So I'm very mindful because they told me when I rented that park, it's like, look, got to deal with noise. It's bad enough I can't ride them. And I got to a point where they let me start them because I do that cackle fest on the hour, right? Yeah. So I'm all right there. When I brought the dyno in, I was worried. I was sweating my bullets because I was worried about someone complaining. The dude showed up. It was enclosed, number one.
Yes.
And there wasn't a lot of participation because it wasn't something that I was able to pre-promote because I came to it late. Mm-hmm. So the disadvantage was I wasn't able to promote it. The advantage was not a lot of people came ready to go into the dyno. Exactly. So I had the guys that were in there, there's maybe maybe 20 of them did it. Mm-hmm. And now I hear things like, dude, I'm building a bike just for the dyno. It's like, how do I pre-register? What about the dyno? You're having the dyno. So the dyno was good, and you guys contributed like you always do. And you did with hard cash. You wrote me a check for hundreds of dollars to be a part of that. And it was a few times that more to do it, but it was one of those things that, you invest in, mm-hmm. And we'll have it back. And I know that you have a dyno. It's steady, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we would want to bring it out, but it's just a lot of stuff to move. And so that's why when you said that you're going to rent one from another person, we're like, oh, we'll do our part to contribute to that, and it'll be fun.
Well, I went to the place. I was at your shop.
Mm-hmm.
It was in between. It's the first time we were meeting each other, really,
Yeah.
I rolled out there. I think you were off the 60 or the 10 or
60,
something.
60
Man, I just remember traffic.
Yeah.
I didn't quite have navigation on my truck dash. I had it on my phone. And I was trying to find you. Then I went by your shop like 50 times. Then I got in there. It's like, I saw the dyno. I saw what you guys had to deal with there. It's like, my God, there'd be no way we'd be able to get this thing. But that spirited it. So, and I thought it'd be easy because you think everything's easy now. You go online, portable dyno, Los Angeles. Sure as shit, I did that. So it fucking popped up. It led to nowhere. Yeah. So finally, I got the guys who make these dynos out in Vegas. Is it DynoJet, right? Yeah. I got a guy on the phone. Mm-hmm. Even to him, I was speaking foreign language. And he's like, "What are you gonna do? What are these things?" Like, they're like lawnmower engines. Like, what are you, nuts? It's like, no, really. Yeah, half nuts. All the guys that come are more nuts. I said, no, I'm being somewhat descriptive. They're 5 horsepower engines, but I'll be having guys that will be bringing out engines that could maybe 20 horsepower, 25 horsepower. Mm-hmm. And sure as shit, the highest one was 28 or something like that, 27 and change. So he knew a guy who knew a guy, right? Typical story. Dude Lou shows up in that trailer. You know, he's not rolling up in the Pennzoil trailer. He was, but it was enclosed. He had obviously done it a few million times. Yep. You know, and he was so cool. Yeah. And he facilitated everybody. I've got to improve because it was too lax. Like, you could literally, like, put your tongue on the dyno if you wanted to. Yeah. So I've got to rope it off. Mm-hmm. Because there weren't a lot of folks participating, it wasn't one of those deals where I had to, like, check how many times you went on there, or if you were certified, whatever. You know, it's still so family that things like, if you're fucking got in the event without paying the $20,
which we know who you are.
Yeah, and we'll find them too, right?
We'll find them.
It's like if they went through all that, dude, I bet they had such a good time, and they left with so much shit. These things are $10. They would give me the $20 on the way out, because it's just that kind of a person that comes to these events.
So that means they should pre-enroll.
Pre-reg, and they get a guaranteed slot in the dyno. Mm-hmm. That, because I don't know, again, I can't predict how the use will increase. All I know is I still got the same guy with the same fucking dyno. So
that's good.
Yeah, so pre-register, and what I do say is if you pre-register before the deadline, then you'll be insured an opportunity to go on the dyno. And if you just show up, because
that itself is already worth the money.
Don't you think?
That $20.
Now you do it, right?
You cannot
do it. Yes. If a guy comes into the shop and he's going to do the mods and he's going to go on the dyno, give us a ballpark. It ain't like it's $10.
Not $20.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. and it's always been that, Ray. Mm-hmm. It's never been, oh shit, 3 years, you know, instead of $20, make it $50. You know, it's like, no. It's like, keep it, I want the bikes. I want those mats full. Mm-hmm. Like, if I had to pay $5 to fill the mat to get the bike so that people could sense it, you know what it is to build a brand. You guys have built this Minimoto brand. There's not a lot of coming back. There's a lot of dishing out at first, isn't there?
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's still dishing out.
Yep.
And you guys are hosts like me. You have there's deals at the Steady Garage. There's functions. There's rollouts. There's barbecues. You guys know how to do that stuff. It ain't easy.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Yeah. So what are you up to now? Obviously you're the headquarters for parts. You're developing the trends. You have access to the parts and the stuff that people don't even know about, let alone can't get. But outside of having the parts and the craftsmen and those guys that are working there to do the job right, what's next? What's hot with you guys? What are you working on an event? I know you're going somewhere. You're going to a big event. Are you in Japan or something?
Yeah, we're going to Japan Con, and there's gonna be maybe 5 to 6 different shops from the U.S. They're all gonna be there. Maybe about 20 guys, I would say, from the U.S. So Japan is having a specific gathering just for all the U.S. guys just to come visit. So there's a magazine out there called Moto Champ that's really into the stuff that the Americans are building as far as the Ruckus and the Grom and all that. So they're gonna host it, and we're gonna have I think there's gonna be a little bit of drag racing too over there. So I think that would be cool if we could go out to Irwindale Speedway and do a little drag racing with the mini bikes.
Yes, and I made that call. I made that call very early on, and I was really excited because I knew that the junior dragsters were running, and I knew a guy there, Doug, in their PR department. Man, it got squashed like immediate.
What?
Yeah, they want no part of mini bikes. It's the small wheel size that scare the shit out of them. Mm-hmm. They're rigid frame, most of them. You can fall right off them. You run past 1/8 of a mile. Some of these bikes are so fast you can literally So there's too much risk for them. Mm-hmm. They don't want any part of it, and it's not a junior dragster proposition like we think it is because they have similar style power plants. The mini bike going down at a quarter of a mile drag strip is a much more riskier proposition than any professional car or motorcycle. So it's just tough. It's tough to do that. And I too thought, it's like, well, shit, just cut an eighth of a mile and a half. Just give me from here to there. So these guys, like, let me just let them do give me an oval.
Yeah.
It's like we don't want them in motion.
Nope.
Wow.
They don't want them in motion. So I don't want to keep going back to this, but it almost pops up every show. There are other states where you can just go ride. I can go fire up the Taco. You take the Bonanza, you put some wheels on the Bonanza, and Ray goes, and you don't have to have any lights or license plates. Some states you can. Detroit, these guys ride in mob scenes.
Yeah.
Myron, all those dudes out there. In fact, I want to give a shout out to Myron Bailey and Maureen White, who helps me with Roadkill out in our Detroit office. Yeah, when you think about it, Wind Beer is a big event they have in Pennsylvania. Standard rigid frame, non-licensed mini bikes, hundreds of them riding around the town, in the fields, in the streets, showing up, have breakfast, getting gas, shopping. It's like, so it's interesting how state to state differs your ability to ride them. But you don't have that as a challenge, and that's we talked about earlier. It's so cool for you guys to be able to ride, man.
And there's almost weekly rides.
Yeah.
The last biggest ride was last Saturday. It was out.
I saw photos.
It was in San Diego.
Right around the
Kind
block.
of a balmy morning.
It was a overcast morning, but it was nice.
Do you do the layers thing? You just
It's in San Diego, so it's okay.
Yeah, well, you're a hoodie and you're good to go then, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. What does that encompass? So you'll start. How long of a ride? How many hours you guys go out?
That ride was about 100 miles.
So are you riding from your house to the place, or do you?
Actually, there's people that did ride from Long Beach, I guess, all the way down to San Diego to meet up at the meetup spot, and then make the ride and then ride back.
That's commitment, man. I'm taking it in the truck.
That's exactly what I did.
So what happens when you go to Japan to their burgeoning, exploding, exciting event, and you're there, but you ain't got your bike? That sucks, doesn't it? The guys let you ride?
Probably rent some or something.
Yeah, that would be the only thing about it. When you go to other people's events.
Although we've had in the past a ride in Hawaii, and some of us, not me, but some of us that was capable, they actually shipped their bikes out.
Yeah.
And
a lot of guys do that for Bike Week, like in Daytona or in Sturgis.
Oh yeah.
The guys got a little extra cash. Because it could be fun to ride out to Sturgis.
But it's not worth
coming back. You gotta come back, right? It just ain't as fun that ride back. It's like you already seen the mountains and the president's faces on the mountains and all that shit. Well, so when the scene goes from one player, Honda, to a large degree, whether you point to the Ruckus or you point to the Grom, that Metro. What is it about the Metro rider? What is it about that platform that caught on? What did that have going for it in the midst of some of these other bikes that had a little bit more notoriety?
The reason why it caught on was because it was interchangeable. Everything was interchangeable. The engine was swappable, so it was pretty much just the plastics were added on more or less.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else beside that? Because the look was different. You had to make a commitment when you were a Metro.
You have to make a commitment.
Yeah, and then guys thought it was only for girls and the Ruckus was for the guys, but guys were slamming them, making it look really good and making it look classic. So some people mistaken them as Vespa, but it's not. It's a Honda, so it's all fully plastic.
Vespa, we joked at it earlier on when we were talking about how people can perceive what we do based on how we describe our vehicles. And when scooters come up, they go to Vespa. But, I watch that show, American Pickers, like everybody else does. And not only does he come across some cool mini bikes, but he does come across things like Vespas. And there was a period early on where the principal style of that Vespa and the powertrain would be nice to have in the stable. Those things started, they were pretty basic in design. They had that little Italian flair to them. Nowhere near what we're doing now, but the new ones, they are what they are. They're like yuppie mobiles, and they cost more than a friggin' Fiat.
Yeah.
right? They want $8,500 for these Vespas plus with the Louis Vuitton seat. You're up to 15 grand for a fucking Vespa, right? It's crazy, but that Vespa that was kind of a .2 platform when you said scooter for a long time, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, it was.
So you guys come in,
Blew
giving them
away.
a total distorted vision of that.
Exactly.
So when Steady Garage started, was that an evolution of, like, was Bowles LA the shop at the time, and then you guys decided to go out and get yours? Explain to me a little bit about how Steady Garage became, Steady Garage.
Oh man, it's actually a really long story, but
Give me the edited version.
Yes.
Because again, I do remember you from Bowles.
Bowles LA was the premier shop, only shop
killer scooter.
that you could have gotten parts.
Yeah.
Back in
Shock
2008.
suspension,
Yes.
mufflers, seats, mirrors,
And
right?
all those were imported from overseas,
Okay.
Japan.
Japan.
And what role did you guys play there? Customers, workers, associates?
Customers.
Okay.
Yeah, customers, and it kind of just got out of hands when we were building bikes, and we were kind of topping each other, and it just got to a point where everyone was the same. So we're like, oh man, what can we do to make it different? Throw a different engine in there. During the time, the Yamaha Zuma two-stroke, the two-stroke engine was actually popular for a short while. But it kept on blowing up because not too many people knew how to tune a two-stroke correctly, And the GY6 engine swap caught on really fast, and
That
was
150cc?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you had something to work with there.
Yeah,
Yes.
It was easy to work on. I mean, you could blow it up and spend a couple $100 and get another one, and not have to stress about it.
You tried to blow it up.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty hard. Yeah, we ran one with no oil, and it still survived.
When Brake Clean became the official brake parts cleaner of Roadkill, you have to watch what you ask for. I talked to David, and he's ecstatic that we have them as sponsors because we've been fortunate. Like, our sponsors make sense. These guys were buying cases of this shit because they used it so much. They love this stuff. Roadkill works with mechanics wear, where there's a line of mechanics wear gloves. Well, they use mechanics wear gloves. There's certain products that just are righteous sponsors. So when these guys came on board, there's certain products where it's tough to use automatically. Like if I want to use a bushing or, I don't know, a steering column, it's not like it's as easy. It's not a part of every build. So it's tough to ask these guys to incorporate the product into an episode or an article. So when I asked them to help promote the Brake Clean, they filled an empty gas tank up with 5 cans of Brake Clean, and they ran a car for a minute on Brake Clean.
Yes, Brake Clean.
So it does it all.
Yeah.
That's how you troubleshoot. You have no gas.
Yeah, or
Yeah, man.
air leaks.
And everywhere I go, it's there.
Yeah.
And there's other types out there. Some of them you may be familiar with, but this one gives a smile. And we give this away. They're new sponsors of the podcast. They've always been sponsors of the event. They've been sponsors of the event as long as you have, to some degree. And they would bring us pallets of this. And that's another cool thing about the event is that when you come, you can take a can or take a couple. I don't know. They're right there supporting it.
And it's all going to get used.
Yeah, it's going to
That's
be
a good
used.
thing.
We'll have to get some down to Steady Garage, too, because you guys are doing some cool things down there. So now there's GY 6 engines coming in. Now you've got a little bit of a bigger dance card. You're not building a bike and Bowles building a bike for 6 months and they all look the same. Now this shit's starting to take some shape where you can be your own. Is that when you guys decide to do Steady? How does it go?
Well, actually, that's where the long story comes in, because it was actually standard functions during that time.
Yes, okay, I remember that too. Yeah.
So,
what was standard functions?
it was pretty much
A shop?
yeah, it was a
Okay.
shop. Yeah, and we didn't. I honestly, I was 20 during the time, and I didn't know where it was going. Me and my partner, ex-partner now, we just decided just to try it out. See where it takes us, and it was a snowball effect. And before
And that meant, Kevin, trying it out meant that you took money, and so did he, and you rented a building,
yeah.
and you hired people, and you paid for fucking phone and internet and cable.
all that, Yeah, taxes and all that.
And you didn't do some stupid business plan where you projected how many customers and how you just what you chased.
We just chased what felt right. You know, we just did what felt right.
And who was we? You?
Me and my ex-partner Ming.
Okay.
Yeah, and then slowly later on, Jimmy actually came on board, and you know, we got support from you know, David, you know, some friends and all that. And it was good. It was a good 3 years. I think it was 2008 where we started.
And Bowls is going on. You got Standard Function going on now. And who else are some of the fringe guys that are getting into it? Does it seem like that's growing?
Yeah. Was it
Killer Scooter.
Joe
Sports.
Where was Killer Scooter? And where were those guys based out of? They're all pretty much in the same area.
Yes, we're all pretty much located in San Gabriel.
San Gabriel Valley, yeah. Which again was the one that I remember the Ruckuses when all the rides were popping up.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like Venice. It wasn't like me in Van Nuys. It was all San Gabriel spirited.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're neighbors, man.
Yeah,
all right, so now Standard Function's going. You had a partner. He's in and out. Let's get to because I want to take a quick little break and come back and finish that up. But let's get to, if we can, within these next couple of minutes. How do you get up to starting the Steady Garage deal? So we had Standard Functions.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to go to a different direction.
Yeah, we you know, we part ways, you know, and you know, we that's when me and my two other best friends were like, hey, let's start something, and then we came up with Steady Garage.
Who were those two best friends?
It was Dewey and Francis.
Okay.
And then Ray, and then Jimmy came along shortly after, because there was a you know, a little period of time where no one was really talking to each other.
Adjustment.
Yeah. So, and during that time, you know, we just got together and we're like, hey, this is Steady Garage. You guys want to be a part of it? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And there we go.
I'm glad you did.
Here we are.
Yeah, here we are. And
I bet it's been a little bit of everything you thought, and a lot of what you didn't think, but have been on the scale of put in, take out. You guys, I can tell by looking at you, you're happy, man.
Yeah.
Seems like, you know, it seems like you got a lot more to do, but it seems like you guys are liking it.
Yeah, it's been really good.
Good.
So we gotta thank all our supporter and, you know, everyone who, you know, believed in us. That was cool. And
how about you give yourself a round of applause for friggin' believing in yourselves? And maybe, you know,
maybe later.
Yeah, maybe later.
Yeah. Well, we can get caught up in that, and I save the applause for myself too, like you. But from the other side looking in, you deserve it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And you do it right. You know, even at every stop, a phone call, a visit, a podcast, a sit down. You guys are always fun. You're always cool. You've helped where it really helps, promoting the brand, putting a few dollars in the coffers to make all this stuff work, because you know that's what it takes. And we'll catch up a little bit more about what's happening with you guys. It's all about the minimotos, guys, and it's fun because we're here getting the perspective from the guys that are at the top of this game. Steady Garage, Ray and Kevin, thanks for joining us. We're going to take a quick time out, and we'll be right back with the second half of Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast number...
Joe's Minibike Show.
There. Hey, welcome back. Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast number 11? 11. Wow. I didn't think it'd get to 11. I thought we'd do like maybe 6. Something happened. Well, here we are. Thanks for coming, Ray. Thanks for coming there, Kev. How are we doing so far, all right?
Good. Yep. Enjoying the beer, you know.
Yeah, nice little beer, a little Heineken.
It's a good vibe.
How about those Doberman inside the house there? It scared the shit out of you, huh?
Big dog. You ain't messing around.
Yeah, well, you know, got a lot in there. I don't want him.
Pack a big punch.
Ray's afraid to even go in there, I think.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to hold it.
Hey, I missed you guys last time. You know, LA cool. Get there a little late. Leave when you want to leave. Mm-hmm. I was remiss, though. I want to say thank you. I appreciate all the generous support you've given the event all these years. And here's a little plaque. I think you've got a few of them at the shop now. Present you and Ray for the support.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, it means a lot.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's I've always said that it's the coolness and the credibility that established companies and guys like you give startups like us when we try to do these events, you know. So we appreciate that. And there's a lot of other folks that make Joe's Minibike Reunion, which will be held October the 1st at CV Park in beautiful La Crescenta, our 5th year.
Mm-hmm. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be good. You're coming back. We've got CRC on board on a national level, but the spirit of that event has always been neighborhood, old school, and Campbell Automotive has always been a big, big part of that. You can save $5 off if you'd like to go by Campbell Automotive, which is in here in a little adjacent town called Montrose, right in Honolulu. Campbell Automotive Repair, CARS, cars. Check them out, save $5. Also like to thank the folks at Pioneer Car Audio, Mother's Polish, Toyo Tires, branded up there. Toyo Tires is really cool because not only do they give me great automotive styled gifts, but they give out cool things for the kids. Paddle balls and stress balls and all this other stuff that we can give out to the kids. So bring them out to the event as well. There's a dog park there. You know, we're covering all of our bases. It's free to get in. We got shit for your dog to do, and you can stick your kid in a grassy park where if he falls, he'll even have a good time. It's October the 1st. Bring him. Maybe you want to sell a mini bike. Maybe you want to buy a mini bike. We've got corrals there. Mac is back. Richard McGill out of Norwalk. Mac has probably the deepest base of knowledge on mini bike parts availability. Like if you need a Taco 22 1966 bolt for the rear wheel assembly, he's got 20 of them. He's that guy. Well, he'll be there like he's been every year with all of his parts and pieces. We do have food trucks coming. I think the dudes from Fusion Food Trucks are going to be coming this year. They were a big hit last year. The asshole from the fry truck who didn't show up and was supposed to bring the coffee, we still got problems. We still got problems. I got a lot of thumbs up, but you do not fuck with people by not giving them coffee in the morning. Mm-hmm. Aired terribly on that. My apologies continue to be extended on that, Ray. Thank God there's a young group that just drinks that Monster Energy drink stuff. They didn't care about the coffee. So getting in a couple more shameless plugs. Thank you for all that. We have others that continue to be a part of Joe's Minibike Reunion. Honda of Glendale. Thank you, Darlene. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Kathleen, for coming out all these years and giving us helmets. You guys don't have a choice. You have to wear helmets. That's you know, yep. You get to split lanes now, but you got to wear helmets. Well, the minibike guys, not only can they not ride, but they have a propensity for not wearing helmets. And we're doing what we can with Joe's Minibike Reunion to talk to them about helmets because you can get some cool helmets. Yeah. There's cool helmets out and around. You just got
a lot of cool helmets.
Huh? Look at the little orange one there in the back of the chopper. Yep. Huh? You go old school on that, right?
You know about this is a bell. Yeah.
It's like a 69 Camaro. I think there's like a badge inside there. Isn't there like a year or something? I don't know.
1970.
See?
Check that out.
It's like finding like a 70 Duster, right? Like a 340 with like 18,000 miles. So we helmets. And what I thought we could do, and you guys could probably really help there too, is we should do a custom helmet contest. Guys get to go crazy, freestyle on their helmets. You know, they do that with the big boy motorcycle guys and a lot of those car shows. They do custom helmets, but we're a big part of safety. So thanks, Honda of Glendale, for everything you do, including those helmets. We're back with Steady Garage. And when we left off, Kevin, we were getting to that point where, you know, it just became obvious that it was about time for you guys to just do your own deal. Mm-hmm. You know, Steady Garage. Yep. You know, we tried a few guys. We tried a few different deals. Things don't work out. Yeah. Sometimes they do. So now you're together. You're working together. You quickly, you know, you're like the shop. You're one of the shops, if not, and not only just on a local level here in SoCal, but you guys extend through the internet and through the media that's available. You guys have some national notoriety now, building bikes. But you can do everything, right? I can roll in with my new Kawi and say, look, I saw this cool Kawasaki extended frame deal on your site for that guy. Can you do my bike? How does it work out? A guy stumbles upon you guys because he's heard about you. He walks into the shop. What happens?
So they walk into our retail room, check out all the parts. The cool thing about it is that they can hold it in their hands, and you know, we allow them to bring it outside if they brought their bike to, you know, put it against it, see how it looks, see how they like it. If, you know, we don't really, you know, try to upsell or do anything, you know, that crazy people do or crazy corporation does. But, you know, it's whatever they want to buy. And, you know, and if they want us to install it, and we definitely could install it. It wouldn't be right then and there. Sometime if we're not busy, we'll do it right then and there. But usually an appointment would be a lot better for us. We're not, our crew is a little bit small. So, and there's a lot of stuff to do. So we usually try to, accommodate them through a appointment. And it could go from little things like levers install, mirrors install, to big bores, dyno tune, custom exhaust, or custom fabrication, a little bit of machine work and all that. Tube bending, that's what we're actually getting a lot heavily involved in. So we have our own like manual bends now, stainless steel, like TIG welding and all that. So.
And is that for when you're doing that custom tube bending?
Mm-hmm.
What types of products are you making when you're doing that tube bending? Are you doing like the rear frame extensions, or what is it that you're building?
Yeah, well, headers are a big thing. This intake right here, Chimera is actually one of our house brands that we promote and that we brand out there, and it's all made in the USA. So,
Great.
It's, supporting American manufacturing. If you go to the shop, if you ask us for a tour, we'll give you a little tour and show you around some of the tube benders that we have, the CNC machine, the lathe, and all that. And
kind of keeping it under the house so that you're essentially morphing into manufacturers.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And we could only dream about that, when we first started, and now it's actually starting to happen, and it's kind of surreal, yeah. And so full custom builds. If they want to do paint job, we have our buddy Yuichi, what they call him Custom Painter Bob. He does a lot of pinstriping and gold leaf and all that. He does a really good job.
One of your vendors?
Yeah, one of the vendors. Powder coating.
Is powder coating versus paint more popular? You finding within your segment, guys still laying down paint, or is it growing towards more powder?
It depends the medium.
Yeah.
If it's aluminum, then it's more anodizing. If it's like steel, then it's powder coated or painted. It depends on how long you want it to last, or the finish.
How about price wise?
Powder coat, I think, is more affordable than paint.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
And like everything else, it's the quality.
Yeah,
and
it's a lot more durable.
Yeah,
but it doesn't get that shine.
Yeah.
And everyone wants that shine.
Well, your customer. And I'm hoping that there's more newbies. By a newbie, a guy that walks in and buys a new Grom or buys this new Kawasaki. Mm-hmm. He's going to hear about you and he's going to roll in. What's a typical phase one modification that would fall in line with a guy just rolling up with like a new bike? What would you suggest? He comes in looking for a little bit of advice. What are you going to tell him? What are the parts? What's the predictable estimate of the cash outlay? And what's the time frame? He's going to come by and he's going to talk to you on a Thursday. When's he going to be able to literally come back in and either expect to drop his bike off and have his parts available and then get it back? Can you just walk us through like a typical new guy coming into the shop?
Well, as far as parts goes, I think we have about 90% of the parts that we have on the website is in stock. And the other 10 is probably because it's an overseas item or something that we can't just get from the local vendor or something, locally within the States.
So, Ray, when we did the walk around, you were talking about some of those products that would come as a part of like your initial addition to that bike. Let's go over those again.
So the first thing you would probably do is get rid of that like I said, that rear fender. They would get rid of the rear fender with a fender eliminator bracket, so they can relocate their license plate. And then also maybe get rid of their blinkers, the rear blinkers, and so they would get the rear taillight, the integrated taillight,
all in one. Yeah, that's
so
smooth.
it smooths out the black, makes it look proper. That's usually the first step you would do. Then maybe you want more power, you would get an intake and then an exhaust.
What did you bring here? This is from the Shimura line.
This is actually a short ram air intake for the Honda Grom, and this itself right here will give you 1 horsepower. And it might not sound like a lot, but for a Grom, which is pushing out 8 horsepower, it put it up to 9.
Yeah,
and that's a big difference. It opens it up, And,
well, it also helps in the custom look too. It's another cool little thing on the bike.
It sounds good.
So we would do an intake and maybe a filter.
Yeah.
An example of a green filter here.
Yeah.
We talked about green filter because you guys built that awesome Grom years ago that appeared at the SEMA show. Those of us who have gone to the SEMA show, I'm sure are familiar with that whole show itself. In fact, it's always the first Tuesday through Friday of November.
Correct.
And if you are a consumer, that's a trade show. You have to have credentials to get in. However, things have changed over the years, and there's an element of the show that happens on the last day of the show, Friday. When the show's over with at 4 o'clock, all the vehicles that have been on display, both inside the building and adjacent outside the building, that have been just parked, they all fire up.
Yeah.
And they leave systematically from the interior buildings outside, and they all proceed what they call the SEMA cruise. So anybody who's in town who can wiggle their way up and get to the convention center, or just get to Paradise Road now because the crowd has been so big, you can get to town and you can experience and see all those cars leave, and that's called the SEMA Cruise. You can stick around for SEMA Ignited, which extends that Friday evening, open to the public, where you can then go see those cars that have left, that have gone and parked. They'll be on display for like 3 hours, so like 9 or 10 o'clock.
Where's that at?
That's right across the street from the convention center in the Gold Lot. And it's also continued to grow in popularity due largely to the fact that it's the stomping grounds for the Battle of the Builders competition. Those custom car builders with the the Chip Fooses and the Troy Trepagnas and all those guys building those outrageous hot rods. So there's a lot going on. They had a cackle fest with some old drag cars. You get to meet a lot of cool folks that are at the SEMA show. Guys like the guys from Roadkill, Freiberger, and Finnegan, and the Gas Monkey guys. And there's a lot of activities there. There's food trucks there. Yeah, so for those of you who have heard of SEMA and unfortunately had heard the rest of the story, which is that, but you can't get in. The last day of the show, you can get in. Now, you guys have been going in for years, right?
Yes.
I've been checking out the show. So Green Filters was there with that bike on display. And if you missed it, we'll post some photos of that bike. That was a custom build.
Yeah.
You did a really nice job with that. The seat, to me, that brown seat, like that Ducati out there, that was just striking. And that green, you typically don't get too excited about green, but you guys nailed it. So what was the deal with that bike?
So that bike belongs to our friend Gary Richardson, and he wanted to go all out on the Grom, and it's a whole conversion kit, and people were tripping out because they thought it was like a YSR or NSR or something. It looks like a sports bike.
It did.
Yeah, and so we brought in the kit. We did the whole conversion. Our friend painted it, and during that time, you were asking, hey, do you have any bike that will be on display with a green filter? And we thought that was probably one of the perfect bike to do it because obviously it's green, right? And it has the Chimera intake system on it, and actually green filter. What was cool about it was they made a custom filter for the intake that was actually elongated, so it actually allows more air in it. And to this day, he's still using that filter.
Great.
Yeah, and it sounds good and it performs really well.
I brought that bike up for two reasons. The first one is that I wanted to recognize, again, just another example where just at a drop of a dime, we're in touch, and all of a sudden you got like magic happening. Yeah. Thank you for that. My motive was, well, hey, look, it's a pain in the ass to get in this show. Dude, if you could help me out with these guys, like it's green filters, we'll get in the show, and who knows, maybe this thing will just draw a little bit of something. Maybe get somebody after the show that wants to buy something, or maybe we just get a couple more credentials to go to the show at the worst. So that was a good draw. Now they're a little non-LA like. They're
small town.
Ish. Yes. Yeah. They're not lights, camera, action. Okay. But they're smart enough to listen, and you can't knock them for that. And they've got their ears open, and I think that they've got some potential because they've got great product. And
yes, they do.
Yeah, so maybe we put a little gel in their hair and give them a new pair of shoes and help them out a little bit. But green filters, it's good stuff. And to your point, because if the guy seems like who built that bike could have used whatever the hell he wanted to. The fact, because once the show's over, it's like the commitments are done. The fact that he still kept it on there means that it works.
It works, yeah.
That bike also is an example of what I was getting at. Your customer can be that guy, Ray, that comes in, and he gets rid of his rear tail light.
That's right.
Sorry, I'll get mine fixed. He's going to think about some intake. He's going to think about some exhaust. we went on and we almost fast forwarded to wheels and tires, but wheels and tires are really important, aren't they, as well?
All about the stance.
Yeah.
Wheel, tire, suspension,
And exhaust.
What are the
Exhaust.
tires now? What's the brand of tires now that people are wearing? What are the shoes everybody's wearing?
Tires are Dunlop usually.
Dunlops, is that the
Yeah.
one?
Yeah,
Okay.
and,
And the
Michelin.
Michelin's.
Yeah.
Michelin's really popular.
Is there anybody else in the field? Is there, because in the automotive industry, there's always a runner-up. There's a Hankook. There's a Falcon. There's
I would say Pirelli maybe.
Pirelli.
yeah, because they have those mini moto
Mm-hmm.
sizes for those style bikes.
Yeah, and then
So Dunlop, Michigan,
see.
or
Michelin.
Michelin, and I got Detroit on my mind. Those are the three, huh?
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
And then what about wheels? Are they all custom?
wheels
there
are
a
all
handful-
custom.
yeah.
Who are the
Yeah.
players in the wheel field?
There's a Machine down in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
He does a lot of machining of wheels.
So
special wheels.
his spectrum is the range of different styles that he has.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's the size now? What's the size combo that people are going with wheel wise?
12x4 in the
the
front,
front, yep.
12x7, 12 on the Groms, 12x6. On the Ruckus, you can go 12x7, 12x8, 13x8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beginning. They try to get
Like everything else, right? Yeah.
try to
Bigger.
get bigger.
It's getting fucking crazy though.
It
I'm
is.
seeing when you look at the automotive world and the tire size.
Yes, they're like 34 now.
It's getting crazy. It's just barely getting over that
Rubber bands.
too wide tweaked look that was roaming around. It's let's face it, because that wheel and tire, just like the paint, that wheel and tire setup. Like when I was looking at the Cowie, what I noticed is kind of like the stance.
Yeah.
And the way that thing's
It's all
set.
about the stance.
Yeah. So I guess we go from that basic guy, come in, does his quick little deals, then he got the pipe. But
Yep.
then, he may not do the intake yet. Maybe just give me the filter.
Yeah, we have drop-in filters
Right?
that
And,
work
and
really
by the
good.
way, I told you about the seat. It's if you
Talk about
comfort.
seats. We do have a lot of seats.
A lot of
Right?
seats.
We have a lot of seats.
that's big, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and if you don't like any of the seats you see on the site, you can always send it in, and we get it redone however you like.
So I bought my seat, and I took a predictable approach. I listened to my dealer, and a lot of those guys carry the Corbin line, and I liked it, and it was effortless. I think I even bought my pipe, and then he put it on. But you go with brand names,
Correct.
ones that you're familiar with. Even me, I took a step back when I paid $480 for my seat because my Grom was only like $3,200.
Yeah.
I ran into that when I got the Yoshimura pipe. I ran into that. We talked about with my mirrors. It seemed like,
Well, you got expensive taste. That's the problem.
oh, is that it?
Yep.
Okay, so you can but in that same token though, it's like, isn't it funny though? Even if you do have a few extra dollars to buy these things, it doesn't make you not stop and pause, because I did each time. It's like, damn,
Yeah.
$500 for the seat. Like I paid $3,000 for the bikes. Like $600 for the exhaust, $400 for the mirrors. Like it. I guess that's where you got to draw the line, right? Because you can
Yeah,
do
pretty
it.
much.
You can get
That green bike,
$25,000.
probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's still room.
Yeah.
There's still room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still could make it more green.
Yeah. so you can't get into this thing. You can.
Yeah.
So and I guess
yeah.
that's where it
It's
goes.
a
And that's what I
addiction,
got.
for
So my first day I got the Grom. I just rode it home. Bought it in Glendale. Rode the friggin' thing home.
Yep.
Thumbs up everywhere. It's like you're driving around your 51 Chevy. People are like loving it. Rolling
Yep.
up there, and one guy, because I went to Starbucks or somewhere in the mall, and one guy come out and he asked me about it, and I told him the little that I knew about it, right? The Grom, and he's, how much was it? I said, I don't know. It's like $3,200 by the time I'm done. And
Yep.
Yeah.
he said, well, why wouldn't you just buy like a real motorcycle?
Yep.
Why wouldn't you buy like a full size motorcycle?
R6
You get a lot of
You
that,
get that
right?
a lot.
So
Suzuki.
what's the response to that?
The thing is, the mini bikes, it's way more fun. Don't matter what you ride until you're riding a mini bike.
I
You
say
don't
that.
know.
Yeah,
you don't know.
Yeah.
I found
You just don't know.
reasons to ride the Grom.
Exactly.
It's like, don't you want me to go to Latuna Canyon for something?
Yes,
Yeah.
Tuna Canyon is really nice, especially going down.
Yes. It's true. And I'm not frightened, but there's times on my full-size bikes, whether it's my Harley, with my Mini Apes, or even the Ducati, because I haven't ridden it a lot. As you know, I got a little bit of an issue with my labrum, but those bikes, like, at any time.
Oh, yeah.
They
Yeah.
bitch slap you, and you're like
Exactly.
done.
Yeah.
With the Grom, you get a certain it's like, oh, that's gonna happen. I'm gonna get thrown off 2 feet. You know, I'm only going 45 miles an hour. You don't let me downplay the fact that
But
obviously.
then when you're going 45, it seems like you're going 80.
Yeah, it feels faster.
Dude, I love it. I did ride it fully tucked down the crest, and I was getting like mid 50s, high 50s, and I probably still had a little bit of room, but I love that bike. It seems like it was just fun. There's the word. It was fun.
Super fun.
It was fun, and you know they're a part of the collection. You know, if I just had it, if I wanted to use it for daily transportation, it'd be a little bit of a push up for me. Honestly, I'd feel a little unsafe, especially if I was trying to cut through to get to downtown or something, cruising around. But being with a pack, being with a group, now you become much more comfortable, and that's what I've always said about
it's
this.
street legal, so you know you
Yeah.
can always go out anytime, any day.
And as a result, it is more of a social style deal. You know, like even the guys with bikes, they get together a time or two a year. With the Groms, like these guys every weekend they're looking at every
week,
Thursday
every
night.
Friday,
There's every
you know?
ride
Yeah.
throughout Southern California. There's rides every day almost.
So how do they find out about that? Like if you're new to the scene, how do they find
So
out
there's
about
a lot of it's now on Facebook.
Okay.
People
Where do they
join
go?
Join the groups. They're like OC Ruckin, or maybe the Honda Grom lifestyles, or just join those Facebook groups. And
Total Ruckus was the one I was.
Yeah, Total
Yeah.
Ruckus was the one that got everybody
Everything.
together, and now it's just since Facebook came and it just took.
Yeah, it's
over.
funny how things change. You know, the mediums that you had access to find out what was up. Christ, you had to wait around for magazines for years. You remember?
Correct.
Yeah.
And now,
Yeah.
now it's like, sheesh, it's tough.
Dinosaurs.
Guys, we're kind of finishing up the podcast. It's been fun. I hope you have a great trip to Japan, Kevin, when you're out there representing. Ray, it's going to be nice to. Well, I guess bad news is you don't get to go to the event internationally, but we'll get to see you at Joe's Minibike Reunion on October the 1st. And thank you again for your continued support. I wanted to give you guys a chance to maybe collect your thoughts about some folks that you may want to give some shout outs to. I've got a few folks that I just want to recognize before we finish up. I don't know who the next podcast guest is going to be, which is a couple weeks from now, but I do know that on the 28th, September the 28th, Elena Shera, the new editor of Roadkill Magazine, will be in the garage joining us. Elena, you may know, is a editor on Hot Rod Magazine. In fact, she's been out to the Minibike show, and I sold her my Torpedo with a 3 horsepower Clinton or 4 horsepower Clinton that her and her friend rebuilt. And she's a mini bike lover as well as being a total car lover. She's a cool gal, a Mopar fan as well. And she's going to join us, and we're going to talk mini bikes. We're also going to talk a little bit about what's happening with Roadkill. We just got back from Detroit, and we drag raced in the streets on Woodward Boulevard.
Wow.
And it was amazing. We had like 40,000 people there, 1,000 drag racers. And it was the first time that there was ever sanctioned street legal drag racing on the streets of Detroit, and it was an eighth of a mile, and we had stands packed with thousands of people from about 10 a.m. to around midnight. Dodge was the presenting sponsor. CRC had a dyno there, and it was a one-day love fest of Roadkill Nation followers, and we had a great time out there. I wanted to mention that Elena will be on the show, so if you're into Roadkill or a Hot Rod fan, check her out 2 weeks from now for our 12th podcast. It's going to be all based on Joe's Minibike Reunion show. We're going to talk about some of the cool giveaways, going to talk about some of the cool bikes that are going to be on site, some of the special promotions, some opportunities like the dyno that we talked about that Steady Garage is a part of as a sponsor. I'd like to recognize some of the folks that have sent us some Facebook notes and comments these last couple of weeks. I have to put my glasses on there because you guys have longer last names than I do in most cases. I'd like to take a second to recognize Danny Espana, Chris Torrio, Trenton Mays, Hector Coronado. There's some other folks. Jessica Chong, I think, recently liked a little something here. Richard White. I don't know. There's a few other folks that are out there that I can't read. Thank you for any of you folks who have contributed. How about my buddy Derek Clark, Chris Burtz, David Verone, Kenny Simon. I mentioned Myron from Detroit. Yardsdale Sock Puckett. I don't think that's your puppet. I don't think that's your real name, but thank you for the nice note. Steady Garage is your place to go if you're into this mini moto scene. for all the reasons that we just talked about for this last half hour or so. There are some cool items that you guys brought. I see some T-shirts. I see some decals. For those of you who have listened in, send us a note. We'll get some of these cool prizes out to you. You guys have always had cool stuff. When I went to your shop, I remember you had such a nice wide assortment of products, but you had a lot of cool collectibles. We've got some of these cool license plate frames that you guys have brought till the wheels fall off. How cool. I'm going to put this on my Grom. Maybe you'd like this on the back of one of your cool bikes. Send us a note. Steady Garage, located in Irwindale, California. I don't want to give you the address because there's like garage stalkers, just like there's like celebrity stalkers. But I do have Ray's home address.
Yes.
Ray's located in the San Gabriel Valley.
Yes, sir.
He goes by Twitter account. Steady Garage. If you'd like to find out about what they can do to make you look a little bit cooler, go a little faster, ride a little harder. Phone number 626-509-9571, 626-509-9571. They have normal hours, 11 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. I love that part. Website, steadygarage.com, right? Mm-hmm. I'm assuming Facebook's big. You guys got some great stuff on your website and your Facebook page.
Instagram, too.
Yeah, what's Instagram?
Steady Garage.
Steady Garage. Ray, thank you for coming out, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, really appreciate. Fun. Yeah, I really appreciate what you're doing, and maybe you can help me and help Emmanuel as well. Hey, we got through 11. We may get through 12. We get through 12. Shit, sky's the limit. We may have 13 or 14. Yeah. Let's keep promoting what you guys are doing. Be our voices for this segment because it's our contemporary voice in between these rigid frame mini bikes and these Ducati super bikes. Mm-hmm. You guys are filling a gap that. If you're a mini bike lover, and I've always said, if you're not, go get one, get into them. But you may struggle if you want to get a motorcycle, those Groms and that new Kawasaki, that's a great starter for an adult. Yeah, it's a great one for your wife because there's an automatic model on these Kawasaki's. You can get one where she doesn't have to worry about letting the clutch out. She can just shift with her foot. It's safer. Like I would get one for my daughter now. You know, you'd get one to have around because anybody can get on one and step on it. So they're making them affordable. You can customize them with hundreds of parts from guys that know how to fix them up the right way at Steady Garage. Before we take off, Kevin, anybody you'd like to maybe say hi to or you have any mentions to, any of your customers or any of your vendors, please.
Okay. We have the UMRA 24-hour endurance race on September 10 and 11. If anyone can make it out there, it's at Grange in Apple Valley. We'll be out there. It's 24 hours, so it's a good endurance race.
You'll be out there for 72 hours. Yeah.
So, special thanks to the Richardson brothers, Chris Lee, the wives for always supporting us. What
are your wives' names?
Linda
and Jessica.
I've got a Linda in there in my house as well. Hi, Linda. Jessica, thanks for letting the guys out, so to speak, for the last, how many years you guys been at this?
Probably almost 10 years.
All right, so there you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So thank you for all of the customer supporter and our partners, Joe's Minibike Reunion for the awesome events and the podcast because this is probably the only podcast talking about mini bikes. And
you guys should do one for your group. You guys should do one. You know, you see how. Yeah, because who knows? And if
we don't have an E.
Yeah, we need an E. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. How about this? You'd be a part of our group here. You guys, you got an open invitation to come in the garage anytime.
Okay.
Continue to bring out the cool bikes.
We will.
Right.
Yeah,
Continue to bring out the stories, and maybe you can bring us some sneak peeks of some bikes that maybe we can either intro or sneak peek, or so. If you got any new parts or any new stories, thank you. I'll see you guys in about less than a month from now. At the minute, have a safe trip to Japan.
Thank you.
Who else is out there that maybe you want to say goodbye to or say hi to? Anybody?
There's a long list, but
get a few in, please.
Okay. SCR works in Japan. Yu Yamamoto, the photographer for Moto Chat magazine, he helps us out a lot. Moto Chat magazine themselves, Tokyo Parts, Rakubo. So all the guys in the East Coast that we're gonna be visiting. In
Who
a couple
you seen on the East Coast?
SCR Works, Tokyo Parts, and Rakubo. Those are the three main shops that are out there that are focused for Ruckus and
Far East Coast.
Yeah, Far East Coast.
Good.
Yeah, Japan.
Well, get you guys over there in the Far East. Get your ears open and get your wallet open. Make some money with these guys, right?
Makoa Scooter and all the other scooter shops that are out there. It really helps bring it up. A lot of people think it's competition and all that stuff, but hey, it's
all
a
of us.
competition always fun, you know,
Yeah, man.
and if you make friends, you know, it could go a long way.
Plus, shit happens. You
Yeah,
never know. You'll
yeah,
be
you
working
never
at the
know.
next shop,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Ray, how about you? Any final salutes on your end?
No, I'm fine. Just the wife.
Good.
Just the
That's
wife.
all that matters.
The
That's all
daughter.
that matters.
Because he's got to eat when he
And my
gets home. Well,
little
thanks for
daughter.
joining us. It's
Yeah.
Joe's
Lily.
Minibike Reunion podcast number 11 in the garage, in the books. Emmanuel, thank you. Continue. Congratulations on all your efforts there, E. Don't forget, folks, if you want to go out and have a good time, it's happiercamper.com. Easy to get in. You guys are checking out the Happier Campers.
Yes.
What cool mobile sites they would be. Maybe we'll see them at the SEMA show. Who knows what the hell else is going on. I want to thank my wife, Linda, and thank myself for getting through this shit for one more episode. It's Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast number 11.
Thank you, Joe.
Cheers.
Joe's Minibike Show.